What killed Lord Carnarvon? Was it the wrath of a vengeful pharaoh? Let's find out. It's me, and this is another real-life Lord of the Rings. When Howard Carter first uncovered the tomb of King Tutankhamun, he thought he might be going blind. The chamber was filled with a thick layer of dust, and when he walked through it, his eyes began to burn and water. It was one of the first signs that something wasn't quite right about the boy king's burial chamber. In November 1922, the world changed forever. In the Valley of the Kings in Egypt, archaeologist Howard Carter and his team had just found the tomb of Tutankhamun. It was the first royal tomb discovered intact in over 2,000 years. Inside, they found treasures beyond their wildest dreams, sarcophagi, golden chariots, even an entire secret annex. But what they didn't know was that some forces were at work, which would turn the discovery into a nightmare. Before we check out the strange curse that killed two men, if you love everything ancient Egypt, be sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. As soon as word got out that Carter had found the tomb of the boy king, people started heading to Egypt to take a look for themselves. First up was Lord Carnarvon, the man funding Carter's dig. He arrived in Egypt on November, looking forward to seeing the treasures for himself. And that's where things got weird. Lord Carnarvon became violently ill, suffering from giddiness, nausea, and a high fever. After a few days, he seemed to recover and joined Carter in the tomb for its official opening on February. During the ceremony, Lord Carnarvon and Carter opened the second of 3 burial chambers, but it was only moments after they stepped inside when Carnarvon collapsed. Suffering from the same symptoms as before, he was carried outside, placed on a stretcher, and returned to his hotel. But Lord Carnarvon's condition quickly worsened. One night, he called for his doctor, who was shocked to find him covered in painful blisters. The next morning, Lord Carnarvon passed away. The cause of death was never properly determined, but many believe it was related to his sudden illness. Before long, newspapers around the world were exploding with stories of the curse of the mummy. According to legend, when a pharaoh died, they were mummified while still clutching vast amounts of treasure, sometimes including their favorite possessions like chariots, weapons, or even pets. They were laid to rest in elaborate tombs, protected by traps, curses, and sometimes even deadly poisons. All of these precautions were meant to protect the pharaoh in the afterlife. They believed that by guarding their eternal resting place, the living would ensure the dead could peacefully pass on to the next realm. Now it's important to note that there's no evidence that Egyptians practiced anything, like the classic movie trope of putting jewels in a coffin and letting the dead pharaoh enjoy them in the afterlife. But many tombs did include items the dead ruler might want or need in the afterlife, including food, wine, precious metals, clothing, and even weapons. So let's get back to the story. In 1907, a British archaeologist named Edward R. Ayrton was excavating a tomb near Cairo when he came across a sealed doorway that he believed led to the hidden chamber of the pharaoh Thutmose. Excited to make the discovery of a lifetime, Ayrton broke through the wall with a pickaxe, and entered the tomb. Inside, he found that someone had already been there before him. The walls were covered in hieroglyphics, and one in particular stood out for Ayrton. It read, "Beware, you who disturb the sleep of the mighty. The earth will bring forth her offspring and engulf your soul." Feeling uneasy, Arden and his team quickly left the tomb, only for tragedy to strike on the way out. One of the workers fell down a shaft and was killed instantly. Arden and his team made a quick exit, never to return. To this day, the tomb of Thutmose remains sealed, and no one has dared venture inside since. Newspapers ran wild with the story of the curse of Tutankhamun. Some said that anyone who disturbed the boy king's final resting place would suffer terrible misfortune. Others said that the curse was particularly strong because Tutankhamun had died so young. But there was one newspaper which stood out above the rest. It was published by none other than Lord Carnarvon and titled "The Curse of the Sleeping Pharaoh." Inside, it detailed the supposed curse which plagued those who disturbed the final resting places of Egypt's pharaohs. According to the article, those who ignored the warning would pay a heavy price. As we now know, Lord Carnarvon ignored these warnings and became violently ill soon after entering the tomb. Many also blamed Carter's canary for bringing bad luck to the team, claiming that the bird was embalmed with the wrong mummy and now its soul was trapped inside. But there was much more evidence to support the curse theory. George J. Gould, an American millionaire, had become fascinated with all things Egyptian in the early 1900s. And after reading about Carter's discovery, he headed to Egypt to see the treasures for himself. Unfortunately for Gould, he brought his own bad luck. As soon as he entered the tomb, his foot struck an object on the floor and he suffered a severe cut. The wound became infected and forced him to return to America. There, doctors performed multiple operations to try and save his foot, but both it and his life. There were other members of Carter's team who managed to escape the curse. For decades, everyone wondered why some escaped the curse while others didn't, and the answer may have been hiding in plain sight all along. At the time of their discovery, only about 30% of the tomb had actually been excavated. It was covered in thousands of hieroglyphics, but only a small portion had been translated, and one inscription in particular has a special meaning to many. It comes from the Book of the Dead, an ancient collection of magic spells meant to help the dead navigate the underworld. And in the case of Tutankhamun, it warned visitors of the pharaoh's deadly wrath. Here's how it reads: "Death shall come on swift wings to him who after me shall set foot in the underworld." But perhaps the most intriguing part is what comes next. To avoid whatever punishment lay ahead, the reader must identify themselves by name, a simple safeguard to ensure only those with permission could pass. Carter and his team apparently neglected to do this and were punished accordingly. According to legend, only one person escaped the curse: Richard Bethel, the British Consul General in Luxor. He wasn't present during the excavation and therefore avoided the curse. But what truly happened to Carter's canary? Legend says that it was eaten by a cobra, the same type of snake that would later appear carved into the tomb. In fact, that's exactly what happened. When Carter entered the tomb, he brought his pet canary with him for light and companionship. But while he was exploring the tunnels, a hungry cobra sneaked into his bag and ate the bird. This is all recorded in Carter's official journal. But if it was just a hungry cobra, why did it specifically target Carter's canary? Legend says that the cobra was enchanted by the curse of the mummy, and the spirit drove it to seek out the souls of those cursed by the pharaoh. So what's the real story behind the death of Lord Carnarvon and the curse of King Tutankhamun? Well, it's probably not what you expected. Lord Carnarvon's death certificate officially listed the cause as the Spanish influenza pandemic, and while some believe his sudden illness was due to natural causes, others think it may have been caused by mosquito bites. After all, he suffered the same symptoms as many who were sick with the flu. And what about those who escaped the curse? Well, some scholars believe that the curse was real, and they simply weren't in the tomb long enough to be affected. Others say they were spared because they respected the sanctity of the tomb and behaved appropriately when exploring it. But still others say the curse didn't exist at all. If you ask me, I'm on the fence. While I don't believe every curse and myth surrounding ancient Egypt, I do believe that something unusual was at play in the tomb. Whether it was real curses or just a series of unfortunate coincidences, one thing is for sure: those who disturbed the final resting place of the boy king paid a heavy price. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. See you next time. Bye.